He took and ate up all my corn. Let me go home. Why don't they let me go home?
He threw away my grapes.
Not the corn, anything but the corn. Please, just let me go home to get some corn.
Hello, and welcome to the Lyric Boys. I'm Lucian Flores, and with me is Andrew Stieglitz. Andrew, say hello.
Hello.
Wow. Every episode, we pick one of our favorite bands, and we take 10 of their craziest, wildest, most insane, weirdest lyrics, and we talk about it. It's a very simple podcast idea for very simple minds. This week, we are talking about the Beach Boys. Yeah, make some noise for the Beach Boys.
Woo!
Want to hear, Steegs, you want to hear me intro the Beach Boys? Say a little bit who they are?
I do. I want to hear all about the Beach Boys. Go.
Okay. The Beach Boys, formed in 1961 in California. They're known for just their very distinctive peppy harmonies, really happy songs about like high school romances, racing cars and surfing, at least in the beginning of their career. Their first hit song was Surfin' from 1961, and it's got a great origin story. Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys said that his brother Dennis came home from the beach and he was like, hey, surfing's getting pretty big. You guys ought to write a song about it. So that is the origin of the Beach Boys sound. So many songs about surfing, car racing. They just were like they released so many songs in the 60s. So they're big, like the biggest, like most probably influential Beach Boys album is Pet Sounds from 1966, which was their 11th album. So between 61 and 66, they released 11 albums.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so Pet Sounds, they basically...
That's more than the Beatles' entire catalog.
Yeah. Yeah. In 5 years. So Pet Sounds is one of the most influential albums of all time. Basically, like it's Rolling Stone's like second best album of all time. It was... I think
number one Sgt. Pepper.
Number one was Sgt. Pepper's. So basically, it was this thing where Brian Wilson, member of the Beach Boys, he had a nervous breakdown on tour. He collapsed in the aisle of an airplane, started crying, and he was like, I can't tour anymore. You guys continue touring. I'm going to take a year off and just like make an album that we'll then make. So then at 23 years old, he basically had this like the classical like crazy troubled genius moment. Basically produced, composed like most of this album like on his own, like with him at the forefront. And the album's like got pop, jazz, classical instruments. Like it's a crazy different sound for the Beach Boys. It didn't do too well initially, but it's like one of the most classic albums of all time. And then Sgt. Pepper's by the Beatles came out the next year, and they were like, oh my God, what do we do now? How do we at all continue this? And so the Beach Boys' careers, they're still technically a band, but it's just Mike Love, who's like an OG member and a big Trump supporter, who like goes.
Oh wow, like, really?
Yeah, he's basically the Beach Boys now. They've all like sued each other. There's like relatives. They had a falling out, and they released the song Kokomo in 1988, which is like a little bit of like a mess. So yeah, that's the Beach Boys. They've had 36 songs in the top 40, which is a record for a U.S. rock band. So
wow,
one of them. This is probably the most influential band we'll talk about so far on this pod.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'll start it off.
Hit me with lyric number one.
Lyric number one is from the 1963 album Little Deuce Coupe. And surprise, surprise, it's the song Little Deuce Coupe. So this song is basically just like the Beach Boys bragging about their car. And the lyric is, she's got a competition clutch with the 4 on the floor, and she purrs like a kitten to the lake pipe's roar. And if that ain't enough to make you flip your lid, there's one more thing. I got the pink slip daddy.
Flipping my lid at that lyric right now.
Yeah, I think everyone at home is flipping their lids at how savage that lyric was.
Yeah, that sounds like the original, like, I got this pimped out ride right here.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And So I'm just going to say that last part again. If that ain't enough to make you flip your lid, there's one more thing. I got the pink slip daddy. So if you're listening at home, you don't know what pink slip is. Basically, that was like the piece of paper that was like this car is like Lucian Flores's or Andrew Stieglitz was a pink piece of paper. So people used to race.
I didn't know that. I was curious.
People used to race their cars. So if I took my parents' 2014 Mazda CX-5 and raced it against your girlfriend's 2009 Honda Civic.
2011.
2011 right. Honda Civic. The winner would keep both cars, basically. And you'd get your opponent's pink slip. So wild world.
Yeah, that is a wild world. That is none of that I feel like could ever go on today, because if that happens today, everybody who did that would be dead. Somebody would pull out a gun and kill the other person. That's such like a 50. I know that this is 63, but it just sounds so 50s to me. I mean, their sound is still very 50s too at this point, but like the whole idea of like me and my friends, we're going to race each other, and on the honor system, we're going to all trust that if whoever wins is going to get the other person's fucking car. Yeah. That's insane. I mean, Jesus, that's the only time in history I feel like that could happen and be like, well, he won. He took my car.
What happens if you lose? Do you walk home or do you catch a ride with the person who won your car? What do you do?
Also, how fucking embarrassing. That's like the most embarrassing loss of all. You can't. Your girlfriend's breaking up with you at that point. You're just a little fucking beta cuck to her.
Wow. You didn't drive fast enough to keep her love.
Yeah. Also, you know that now that you mentioned that Mike Love is a Trump supporter, I kind of hear it in these older songs. I kind of hear that like, this is when America was great type like naive 1950s like view of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but the band is so big that I don't know if Mike Love is necessarily the biggest influence at this time. I don't know enough about them.
Sure. But you know what? Like they have that like very naive 1950s, like, oh, the world was safe back then for us white folk. Oh yeah.
I think that's just like all these songs in general feel that way. It reminds me of American Graffiti, the movie as well. Oh, it's just like this world that you can go through your teen years driving a hot rod down avenues, inviting women into your car just for like a couple of blocks, and that's like how you win hearts. And then you race cars, and then you eventually die in Vietnam War. But
so now, would you go back to that world? Like, do you think that you would enjoy that world? Because to be honest, I don't know if I would.
I don't know
if I fit in there.
I wonder what it would be like to just constantly be driving down avenues. I would rather just get to my destination. Hot take.
Well, I think
but life is about the journey, man.
Yeah. Well, when it's like an open road and it's not like a crowded modern day city, it's different. But like just the world of like just existing there, it seems like there's so much more nostalgia than necessary. Like it probably wasn't as great as like all the nostalgia heads would have you believe.
True. But I got the pink slip daddy. Also love that he's basically insulting this man, calling him daddy is very funny to me. And just one big thing about the early Beach Boys career. So there's this quote, Brian Wilson was asked about all these songs about cars, because the Beach Boys have so many songs about cars. It's insane. And he's basically like, did you guys race cars? Did you go to car races? And Brian Wilson says, no, we never went to the races. And then the person was like, was there a particular car associated with the song 409 or Little Deuce Coupe? And Brian Wilson said, not really, no. We just used the name. I didn't know that much about cars anyway. So just ruining my dream of that this is the Beach Boys' life.
Right. Allegedly, they weren't really big surfers either.
Oh, that's another quote I was going to say. But yeah, basically, there's a quote somewhere. Only Dennis Wilson, Brian Wilson's brother, could surf. He was the only one who surfed out of all the whole band.
And their entire persona is constructed around surfing.
The first however 6 albums is surfing and cars, and then to be like one of us did one of those things. It's just like if you were making bands today and you're just like TikToking and getting through active shooter drills at school. That's the high school experience, right?
Yeah, that's the high school. Yeah, no, that would be like me singing about like growing up in the hood.
Yeah, it
like,
would be. You shouldn't attempt it.
It's not. It's not my place. It's not their place. I mean, with less of a controversy than what they would.
You have probably the same amount of growing up in the hood that the Beach Boys actually knew about surfing and cars, which is nothing. Nothing at all.
Yeah.
All right, what's your first lyric, Andrew?
So I'm gonna jump off your little Deuce Coupe, and I'm gonna jump off the early Beach Boys vibe for a second and pick another song from that album. And it is "Be True to Your School."
Ah,
you know this?
I don't know the song. They have so many. All these 60s bands have like 20-song albums of like 2-minute songs.
I know. Yeah, and I did not know this album at all. And I, perusing through their songs, like a lot of times, this might be a little too behind the scenesy, but for this podcast, I sometimes go to songs I don't know and try and pick out or some albums I don't know and pick out lyrics that jump or song titles that jump out to me. To be like, this is probably gonna have fun lyrics. So I saw this title, I was like, "Be True to Your School." What the fuck is this?
I definitely do that too with some songs.
Yeah. And so, man, there's a lot to get in here. Okay. So the lyric is, "When some loud braggart tries to put me down and says his school is great, I say, now what's the matter, buddy? Ain't you heard my school is #1 in the state?"
Wow.
Let me tell you how fucking nerdy and uncool. I don't know when the switch was made. Maybe sometime in the 70s. But I think there was a switch where like it was at one point cool to wear the Letterman jacket and love your school and have the pride in your school colors. And it is just not, I don't know about you, but when I was in high school, even the jocks, even like the guys on the football team were like, "Yeah, fuck this place. This place sucks. Nobody fucking cares. Seaford Pride. Fuck that shit."
That's probably because your school was lame. And you didn't go to number 1. I think
did you have that experience?
I definitely have like more pride in my high school than I do in my college, I think.
Really? That is we had different high school experiences for sure.
Even though
but that is so the
Boston
opposite.
University pennant behind me.
That's so the opposite of my experience. When I got to college, I was finally like, "Oh, a school I can be proud of." Yeah.
I think it's just because the college is so big that you feel like just another cog in the college machine versus like a small high school. You're like, we're in this together. But do you think that the Beach Boys are like, our high school is so good academically? In my mind, it's just the football team. It's like, who cares about academics? Or they're like, our calculus department is fucking lit, so don't even come at my school.
So it is the football team, but what I'm saying is that even the guys on the football team were like, "Yeah, we're not a good school. Like, we're not good. It doesn't matter. Like, Seaford Pride is bullshit." Like they would say, like you'd hear over the announcements shit like, "Okay, Seaford Pride," and everybody would laugh and be like, "Wow, Seaford Pride, fuck that shit."
That's so funny to me. Yeah, no, I feel like we had pride in my high school, but like it was like I went to a K through 12 school. And so like you're with everyone all the time. So it's like this is all some people that went there, I joined in 5th grade, but some people that were there like that whole time, that's all they know. Yeah. So if you like come at the school, that's like their whole formative I mean, there were definitely guys, there were definitely like the more jockey types, I guess, that were like, "Yeah, Seaford," but it didn't feel like it permeated through the school at all. And if you went around, like if you weren't on a team, or like if you weren't like, especially on like a football team, I guess, or like one of the big teams, and you wore like one of the Letterman jackets, like a Seaford Letterman jacket, people were like, "What the fuck are you doing with that? Take that shit off. First of all, you're not on the team. What's your problem, you fucking poser?" Like that's how it would be. Of course, we're talking about David Letterman jackets, just to be clear to the audience. Yes. So speaking once again, just seamless transitions. From Lucian to Andrew, Andrew to Lucian, passing the baton, winning gold medals of podcasting, This is about high school football. It's from, and this is also a song that I just was like, what is this title? From the song Chug-A-Lug. No, sorry, that's not the song I'm doing. From the song Pom Pom Play Girl from 1964's Shut Down Volume 2. I actually
Shut Down
picked a
Volume 2?
Yeah, I was confused.
That's the name of the album?
Yeah, I was there's a shutdown. I was confused whether this was like a compilation record or like a US Capitol release. I wasn't sure, but it's anyway, Pom Pom Play Girl. Song slaps, as all these songs do.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I'm gonna have a hot take here and say be true to your school. The music is cool and catchy, but the lyrics were so fucking dumb and nerdy that I was like, does not slap. Sorry, Beach Boys.
So I'm gonna do a couple lyrics, but then I'll just say from the song if that's okay, and then we'll talk.
Go.
So Pom Pom Play Girl. You see her in a short skirt down on the grass. She's wondering if the team's going to run, kick, or pass. Since she doesn't really know why she's waving her hands, she's a-thinking about the boy sitting up in the stands. Wow. So just stopping there, just like the latent sexism of that to be like, all this woman's doing is wearing a short skirt and she doesn't understand football enough to know what's happening. She's just got eyes for that boy. And it's like this woman's here every single day on the sidelines, right? Yeah. She's like been cheerleading at all the football games. Like I think she knows like a thing or two about.
Yeah, she could go down there. Imagine she goes down there. She's got like her pom poms in her skirt, and she's like, "Listen, you guys are in a nickel defense. You need to be in a zone defense, okay?"
Yeah. I just like the idea
what I just
like,
said. To be honest, I don't even really know if that was right.
Oh yeah, I don't know anything about football like schematics. It's like nickel, dime, cover 8. I don't know. So.
And Madden, I just hit a button. I just hit a button.
So just the idea that they're like, this woman clearly doesn't know about football. So the idea that she's just waving her hands and doesn't know why is just, it's rude. It's rude to even suggest that, Beach Boys. Yeah. It is also, there's something so impressive to me about cheerleaders maintaining that aura of cheeriness when a team is down like 36-0. Oh, and they're still like, we still got it. Like, come on. Like, we're like.
There is in the song Be True to Your School that I was talking about, there's throughout the background of that song, the like background harmonies are rah rah sis boom ba, or like the other Beach Boys doing that cheer.
Yeah.
Which is just, it's like.
Well, according to Genius, the background vocals of this are chi chi ba ooh.
They're too good sometimes for the lyrics that they sing, I think.
Well, also, I think Lyrics Genius doesn't know how to translate just like noises.
Okay.
So other things about this song, the second lyric I want to bring up is, since she's the head cheerleader, she dates the quarterback. And her best friend's going out with the fullback. She might even run for an office this spring. And that ought to really make her telephone ring. Question.
Okay. All right. Go.
When running for office, are we thinking like she's going straight from like whatever high school or college straight into like local office, Congress? Is that what we're talking about?
You brought up that it's sexist, but they are saying here that maybe this is potentially the first woman president.
Yeah. I was wondering
they are valuing her intelligence a little bit.
Well, it's like this view of politics, once again, in the simplicity of this Beach Boys view of white suburban Americana.
Dude, it's like where too much white, for me. It's
everything
too much.
Works out for you.
And I come from a suburban place, but this is like it's too fucking American for me.
Well, so the idea to me is just like, the idea that like, I'm sure someone listens to the song and it's like, that's how politics should be.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You're popular. Quarterback. You're popular. You're running for office.
This is a boomer's dream right here.
Yeah.
This song is an absolute boomer's dream. You want to see like the hot blondes on the arm of the quarterback, and the quarterback is like making some important speech and he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about because he's brain dead from getting hit too many times.
This song, if it's the boomer dream, then clearly the boomer celebrity couple is Jay Cutler, quarterback, and Tommy Lahren, Fox News correspondent.
What's more American than that, dude? But that's exactly what they're talking about here. Is like that fucking stupid view of America.
Mm-hmm.
That was
All right.
the most eloquent thing I could have said on this podcast.
That was very eloquent. Give me your second.
So my next lyric
Yes.
is from the song "I'm So Young." Yeah, these.
What a freeing lyric, freeing title. It's just like, I love it.
Where there's lament in that title because he's too young. The song is about he's too young to get married to the girl he loves.
Aw, that's so nice.
The thing about the Beach Boys, before I get into the lyric, is that like they came up around the time of the Beatles, right? But like the Beatles are just so much cooler to me as like people.
Yes.
And as musicians and as like rock stars, because I just feel like the Beach Boys are so, especially listening now in Trump's America, they're so boomer-ish. They're such fucking boomers. It's like, it's so 1950s Leave It to Beaver. It's like listening to Leave It to Beaver, the musical, sometimes.
If you look at pictures of like the Beatles from the early 60s, before like when they just started the Beatles and when like Stuart Sutcliffe was still like a member and stuff, and they would wear their leather jackets and have like greasy hair, and then the Beach Boys equivalent photos are them in like striped sweaters, like with like really like handsomely maintained haircuts,
and also like this song "I'm So Young" that I'm about to talk about came out in '65. And that's when the Beatles came out with Rubber Soul, which was like their first album that they sung about like smoking weed and like they were just like rock and roll. And the Beach Boys were like, I just want to marry my. I mean, the Beatles definitely sung like I just want to marry my girl, but like I feel like there are people today who talk about the Beatles being like boomer-ish, and they are like fucking Kendrick Lamar compared. They're like Run the Jewels compared to the Beach Boys.
All right, you've built up this lyric. Let's hear it.
Okay. It's so tough. It's like 4 words. So the beginning of the song, and I picked this lyric mostly because of how funny it sounded when they sung it. The beginning, it's right when you hit play. It's I guess Brian Wilson in his falsetto voice going, I have a girlfriend. And it just sounds like what? Wow.
I have a girlfriend.
I have a girlfriend. That's it. It just sounds like what like an incel would do if they finally got a girlfriend. Just being like, hallelujah, I have a girlfriend.
It's like I no longer have to go on the internet to troll. Yeah. Now I have something else to occupy my time with.
It literally, I was just listening to that album to get lyrics for this podcast, and that song came on, and I laughed. I was like, that sounds so fucking ridiculous. I have a girlfriend. It's
nice, right? It's like, sweet, good for him. He has a girlfriend.
Jesus Christ, man. Like, they're such... I'm sorry. I don't mean to shit on the Beach Boys because I think that they are very good and they're so influential, but God, they're such nerds.
I will say that...
And I'm a nerd, but they're such fucking dorks.
We've got some nerd on dork violence happening right now. I will say listening to the Beach Boys for this podcast made me so happy. I was just so... I had like a smile on my face the whole time. I was just like, yes... Like, I guess put me into this 1960s California America where I get to go.
So you could live in that era then. You would enjoy that.
Yeah, I'm white passing enough, baby.
Even as a white male, a straight white male, I still don't think that I would like that America. I just feel like that. I feel like that's like the dirty underbelly of America, actually. It's like sweeping all the problems under the rug, and it's like so obvious to me. I mean, at the time, I guess to them, and still today, it's not obvious to people, but like it's so obvious that there's something so fucking wrong with it that like I just don't think I could stand being there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I understand that, and that's probably the mature, smart response. But the back of my head's like, I'm just driving in cars all day. I love it. Like, my engine purrs.
You could still do that today.
Yeah, but then it's creepy. It's like, why is that guy driven around this cul-de-sac 80 times in the last 2 hours?
That's true.
So You know what? I think my third lyric, I'm going to pull from the bad boy side of the Beach Boys.
Ooh, I didn't even know there was I guess I did.
I feel like I was worried I was going to overdo the bad boy side, and now we're making them seem so tame that, you know what? Actually, fuck it. I'm going to do one more really tame lyric, and then we'll get to the bad boy side. Okay. So the really tame lyric is from 1962's album Surfin' Safari. Mm-hmm. And it's from this Surfin' Safari, also amazing name. And it's from the song Chug-A-Lug. Great title. Mm-hmm. So I just want to say to show the bad boy side, the first lyric of the song is Gary likes a girl's tight black pants. Stieglitz is laughing really hard right now, just away from the microphone, just to give you that image.
Again, like, it's the nerdiest way to say that possible. Like you could, okay, there's so many songs these days still that objectify women, right? Yes. And if you're going to objectify women, if you're going to go all in on that, okay, if that's going to be the song and that's going to be your persona, fucking do it in a cool way, right? Be like, yeah, she got that fat ass. Don't be like, Gary loves a woman's tight black pants. Like, that's so creepy. It's so fucking creepy. You're being a creep about it. Just be like, yeah, nice ass. Don't be like, that tight black pants. Gary loves it.
So anyway, that's just, the song basically has all these intro lyrics about members of the band, and the rest of them are like, whatever, doing stuff. And then it goes, I go down to the root beer stand and drink up all that I can. Give me some root beer, chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug. Give me some root beer, chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug. Cold beer, root beer, here a mug, there a mug, everybody chug-a-lug. So, and then it goes, root beer, need another mug now. Root beer, chug-a-lug, now. So, I like repeat until fade.
I like the idea that this guy is so nerdy. Like the narrator, not Brian Wilson himself, but like this narrator is so nerdy and so like out of touch with society that somebody convinced him, his friends convinced him that root beer has alcohol in it and like it's actual beer. And he's like, oh man. And then he goes and he thinks that he's getting drunk.
He's the classic kid
kind of like how you
smokes
convinced
oregano.
Yeah. Or like how you convinced, I'll bleep that he was doing coke when it was actually protein powder.
That did happen. I've never, just shout out to everyone. I've never done coke, but I have pretended to do protein powder. And then had my friend do protein powder thinking it was cocaine.
And I feel like that's what this guy is. He's the guy who everybody's like, this fucking guy, he talks about girls' black pants all the time. Like a fucking weirdo. Why don't we tell him that root beer has beer in it and just see what happens?
So yeah, this is also just like leaning into the lame Beach Boys time. Just the fact that he's singing so much about root beer and that everyone's going chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug.
It's so
incredibly
50s,
lame.
Yeah.
But I do respect a song that stands of beverage that isn't alcoholic. It's nice. It's like, it's wholesome. It's also very funny to me at the end when he goes, root beer, need another mug now. He's like a kid in the throes of a sugar rush.
Or he thinks he's getting drunk.
Yes, that too.
That's what I like to view this as. He thinks he's getting drunk.
And then when the lyrics go repeat until fade on Genius, I like to think that means until he's faded off root beer.
Hell yeah.
He's like just too sugar rushed. Can't do anything. Dude, when this guy gets older and he learns that you can put ice cream in root beer, it's going to be a crazy day for him.
He's going to come.
Yeah, he's going to come. Ice cream's gonna hit the root beer.
What would be
he's
the
gonna
song?
make explosion in his pants.
What would be the drink that you sing about?
Non-alcoholic beverage.
Non-alcoholic beverage. Yeah.
Oh man, what do I want? Coffee is great, and I drink too much of it.
Coffee.
It would be a song that like slow verses. It's like the first verse is a little sleepy as I'm like having my first cup, and then by the end it's like a trap beat that is just undulating and smacking me over the head as I have a caffeine rush and my whole body is jittery and it becomes craft work.
Yeah.
And it becomes computers just like saying nonsense. Anyway.
I would sing about peach iced tea. Specifically Snapple peach iced tea.
Okay, nice. We should tweet at them and be like, hey, Snapple, did you happen to hear? Did you stick around for like 20 minutes into the podcast? You should have, because we name dropped you. All right, give me your third lyric.
Okay. We're still in that phase of like nerdy Beach Boys. But we're getting a little bit more introspective here for them. So it's from the album I'm So Young is from the Beach Boys today. It's called She Knows Me Too Well. And the lyric is, I get so jealous of the other guy, and then I'm not happy till I make her break down and cry. When I look at the other girls, it must kill her inside. But it would be another story if she looked at the other guys. But she knows me. I think that this is a really charming and catchy depiction of emotional abuse.
Oh, yeah. It's like such a bad relationship, girl. You got to get out of this relationship ASAP. But it's like such a bad relationship.
Leave that man behind. Yeah, it's such a bad relationship, but the song itself is so fucking catchy, and like he has such a charming voice and a charming way about him that he's just like, I emotionally abused my girl. Woohoo, let's go get some root beer.
It's like songs like Run For Your Life by the Beatles.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this song slaps. And then the song is like, you better run for your life if you can, little girl.
Yeah, literally.
And you're like, all right.
Yeah.
Problem? Probably not the supportive relationship you want to be in.
That song too, he literally says, I'd rather see you dead than with another guy.
Yeah. So this is like, I guess, better than that. So a point for the Beach Boys. But it's also like the type of just the hypocrisy of just like, oh, I'm going to make her jealous by looking at other girls. But if she talks to another man, we done.
And also,
I'm going to make her cry.
The utter like the view of yourself that you have to have when you say like, when I look at the other girls, it must kill her inside because I'm just such a fucking god and she wants me so bad, but I'm looking at the other girls. And meanwhile, she's like, you're not. Look at the other girls. It's
like when I was gonna say like you sometimes you're like sometimes I feel like you hear stories about like couples that like start an open relationship because the guy is just like, I want to fuck around, and then like he gets nothing whatsoever. And then like he's like supremely jealous of like his wife or girlfriend like having multiple lovers, and it just like totally backfires.
I heard that Will Smith is one of these people. Who, not that he can't get, but him and Jada Pinkett Smith are in an open relationship, and she has like a side piece now. Yeah. I don't think it's not for me. It seems like a lot of work. It seems like like the juggling of your schedule to allow for multiple partners all the time is a lot of work. That is like, the idea of that is unfathomable to me. I did the other day. Like, I went to this deep dive of it because I was like looking for the horror stories, and like you go to a place like reddit.com where the user base is weird, and you go to the subreddit about like people who have polyamorous relationships, and then you sort by the most popular post of all time, and it is funny. And it's like a mess, and it's hilarious. Yeah, that just sounds not for me. There are so many stories that people posted like, I really wanted an open relationship because I'm unsatisfied with my love life, and then I thought I would get so many people, and then now my wife gets more attention than me, and I have nothing, and then we canceled the open relationship, but in the interim she saw all these people and I saw no one, and now I don't know what to do. And it's like, oh dude, my god, just like you should have. The relationship is probably not good. You should just probably end it. You're just done, end it at that point. Yes. Yeah. Oh my god, that's like a. I can't do that because I do sympathize with the jealousy a little bit. I can get there. I'm there. I don't like it. I mean, it doesn't feel good to be jealous. I don't want to be. If you're in a monogamous relationship, you expect that to be something. Oh right? Yeah, so, polyamory is not for me. No. Yeah, it makes sense. If it makes sense that you would get jealous then. If it's for you, go for it. I could never ever fucking do it. Hit me with that fourth lyric, baby. All right. We got to do Bad Boy Beach Boys now. I Get Around. Ugh. Just that name, that title. You know what's up. I Get Around. He fucks. From 1964, it's a single.
My buddies and me are getting real well known. Yeah, the bad guys know us and they leave us alone. And then later he goes, we always take my car because it's never been beat and we've never missed yet with the girls we meet.
I like how he doesn't actually say that he is one of the bad boys. He says the bad boys just leave us alone.
Yeah. So
like,
this is...
he's aware that he's not cool.
Well, this lyric's like, the bad boys know... Like, we have a reputation. The bad boys leave us alone because they know not to mess with us. My car is undefeated in races, and I've never once have struck out picking up a woman. So I will say there's no world in which I believe any of these lyrics.
No. Especially because an album before you were talking about chugging root beer at the root beer stand, and now you're out fucking smashing every night. Absolutely not.
You've never been rejected, which is like when people say things like that, you know they're lying. Yeah. Because it's like, okay, if you were like, I'm moderately successful, about 60% of the time I try to strike up a conversation with a woman, it is like works well and we have like a casual thing afterwards. I would believe that.
Yeah.
You know, I would believe that. But if you're like, I've never once ever been rejected.
Yeah, that's a red flag. That's a red flag immediately.
It's a red flag, and that's the type of person I'm wondering if they've ever spoken to a woman. Then if they've never
they're
been
still
rejected,
virgins. Yeah.
They're 0 for 0. I will say, if you're at home listening to this podcast, Google the Beach Boys 1963 when the song was written, I believe, and tell me if you think the bad boys would leave them around. If they look like the type of people bad boys would just know not to fuck with.
They don't.
Yeah.
Look, we just have to be honest with ourselves here. The Beach Boys, as influential as they are, and we keep saying this, but they're just not like cool guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think of them as cool guys.
I think of them as cool.
Later on, I think they have the bad boy side, I guess. Yeah. But like,
well, so I will say one thing. We've done a couple of these podcasts, and we've done many. We've talked about lyrics from many artists who are just horny all the time. We did Red Hot Chili Peppers. We did Lana Del Rey. We did The Doors. We did Run the Jewels, right? We did all these like very sexual lyrics. We haven't done those for the Beach Boys yet, but it is funny to me looking at their lyrics, how many of their songs are simply about making love, but it's in the most
very wholesome
way of, yeah. And it's like, he's talking about like sleeping with various people and he's like having a good time, but it's not done in a way that makes me want to take a shower when I listen to the song. It's almost like you blink and you miss the fact that the song is about like having multiple like sexual encounters, you know?
Well, to me, a lot of their stuff, and a lot of the early stuff that we're talking about just reminds me of like a Back to the Future 1950s, where it's like, we're going to go to the sock hop and we're going to dance and we're going to get married afterwards. Immediately afterwards in high school.
Yeah. Immediately. We're going to lock lips and then go straight to shotgun wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like, this is, for as lame as we make fun of this is like clearly, I'm sure when these lyrics came out, people are like, I can't believe they're singing about this. I can't believe they're getting down with people and they're doing it out of wedlock. And
very curious to hear the Wilsons, or I guess is Brian Wilson still alive? He is, right?
He is. Dennis Wilson is dead though.
Yeah. I'd like to hear Brian Wilson's take on WAP.
Yes, I would. We know Meatloaf's take on WAP, which we talked about on the podcast, where Meatloaf
does not like WAP.
Meatloaf thinks the song is just abhorrent. Meanwhile, Meatloaf released a song where he like uses someone stealing home as a metaphor for like doing it.
Well, no, I actually don't think that he thinks of it as abhorrent. I think he's just like, it's shocking, and people used to hate on me because my song was so sexual, and now my song is like a Sunday school song compared to WAP. That's what he said. What
was funny to me about Meatloaf's statement is that he ended it was like dash meat. Like his as if loaf is his last name, so he could just call himself Meat. It's like, excuse me, Mr. Loaf is my father. Call me Meat.
Loaf. Oh my god. That's killing me. What do you think his middle name is?
Meat marinated loaf. Tender. Stieglitz is dead right now. It's also you're not laughing into the mic like normal, so it just sounds like you've disappeared into nothingness.
Because it's gonna. I can hear myself laughing.
Okay,
it's gonna clip on my end.
All right, give me your fourth lyric, you loaf aficionado.
Loaf. His last name is Loaf. All right.
It's like Meatloaf actually isn't a stage name. I came out this way.
If your last name is Loaf, your first name has to be Meat.
It does. Or you could be Bread, and that's it.
So fucking stupid. This is so stupid, but I'm dying. Okay.
People listening are like, why are we going on a tangent about Meatloaf? When you're discussing one of the most influential rock bands of all time, you for some reason are talking about Meatloaf?
People see him on the street, they're just like, Meat!
Hey, can I get your autograph? Meat.
Also...
What? What do you want to say?
Like so boom. He's just such a fucking boomer. Like he calls himself Meat. Like, come on. Meat!
Meatloaf is the most boomer of entrees. That it makes sense that Meatloaf, the singer, is extremely boomer these days.
Yeah. Meatloaf.
Right. Give me your fourth lyric.
Here we go. It's from the song "When I Grow Up." Also from that same album.
What is this album that you keep drawing from again?
The Beach Boys Today. It's the one right before Pet Sounds. The lyric is, "When I grow up to be a man, will I dig the same things that turned me on as a kid? Will I look back and say, I wish I hadn't done the things that I did?"
I wish I did not.
I wish I hadn't
murder.
done... Yeah, I think that the answer for this is 100% yes. If social media has taught anybody anything about what you have thought or posted as a kid, you will absolutely have regrets.
Confused.
This whole song is
Tell me the lyric again.
When I grow up to be a man, will I dig the same things that turned me on as a kid? Will I look
Will
back
I dig the same things that turned me on as a kid?
Yeah. Will I look back and say, I wish I hadn't done the things I did?
I will say that I assume obviously it's a non-sexual turn me on. We don't have to always be sexual on this podcast. I agree. It's
but
like
then
things
the
that
next
you
verse,
liked as a kid.
Here's the thing. The next verse, he says, will I look for the same things in a woman that I dig in a girl?
Okay. Interesting. I will say a couple things based on these lyrics. One is when I was a child, one thing I enjoyed doing was helping my mom in the garden and digging nice holes and filling them with water and giving baths for ants. I was making a swimming pool for ants, which I then realized was murdering ants.
What did you say? Wait, did you say humping your mom?
Helping.
Oh.
Wow. Helping my mom in the garden.
Oh my God. I thought that you were making some kind of joke. I was like, what the fuck?
It's just also such an out of character joke for me to make. Just like wildly out of character. And I would make a swimming pool for the ants, and then I realized I was killing them. And so that was an interest of mine as a child. And now as a 28-year-old man, no longer an interest. So I will say, no, I'm not always interested in the same things I liked as a kid.
Well, it also makes me think, is there any time in your life, this would be the time to share it, like an embarrassing story or a fun like regret that you have? You wanna hit us with one of those?
Like just an embarrassing story of...
Yeah, or just like a regret or something that you look back on you did as a kid and you're like, whoo, jeez, that was embarrassing. Or even not as a kid. Even
I, for some reason, have this memory, which is like slightly embarrassing, but it's not that, like, it's not a bad thing or anything. Just like I, as like a first grader or kindergartner or something, like And you know when you're a kid and you just like say anything, like any thought you have in your mind like becomes a story you instantly share.
Yeah.
And so when I was a kid, I was very much raised on like classic rock music. Like my favorite bands growing up were like the Talking Heads and like I don't know, like I remember really liking Pink Floyd like way too early, just like random stuff. I remember in first grade the teacher was like, anyone have anything to say? And I raised my hand and I was like, hey, you know that like the band Leonard Skinner is named after their gym teacher, and Leonard Skinner wasn't actually a member of the band. That's what I said. Like there was nothing
First grade
to prompt that whatsoever. It was a fun fact that blew my mind, I guess, when I learned it. And I was like, also they use Y's to replace the I sound. Isn't that nuts? Unprompted whatsoever.
And what was the classroom response?
Rousing applause. People lifted me up and they're like, Lucian, be our God. You are our shining light.
Wow.
I think the response was probably just like, okay, anyone else want to tell us a fun fact? What's your embarrassing story?
I thought about this, like asking you this, and I was like, I don't know if I can think of anything like off the top of my head because I'm so
Any
perfect.
embarrassing stories from your life?
I'm perfect. No, I pretty much have always gone through life as a perfect human being, and I've never done anything embarrassing or bad.
That's really good. I'm very glad for you.
Yeah,
wow,
but
so
I
you're
definitely...
just like, what's an embarrassing story, Lucian? I share one from the deepest, darkest depths of my childhood.
Yeah, that's
and
why
you're
I
just
asked you
floating on, moving by.
That's why I asked you first. I didn't want to share one.
Damn.
I mean, I feel like there was definitely stuff like I always had phase. I always had phases early on in life. Like I had this really big basketball phase where
you told me you wore basketball jerseys all the time.
Basketball
right?
jerseys, and like my bar mitzvah was basketball themed. And then I had like
your.
I had.
I don't know what.
It's embarrassing to say because it's so fucking dorky. I had basketball shaped yarmulkes.
Oh yes, yeah. I love. Okay, first of all, as a non-Jewish person, I love sports branded yarmulkes. Whenever I see a kid with like a Mets yarmulke, I'm like, kid, you're after my heart.
You could wear one
because I feel like there are a lot of Mets yarmulkes.
Yeah.
That's like a very like supportive team in the yarmulke community.
The Jewish community. Yeah, I feel like you're right. So that I had like the jersey phase, the basketball phase, and I had like a spiky hair phase where I like spiked my hair up like a punk rocker.
When was the spiky hair phase?
8th grade. It was right after the basketball phase.
Oh wow.
And people didn't like it in my school.
People didn't like your spiky hair or your basketball phase?
They didn't like it. They didn't. I feel like they didn't like any of it. They're like, no, we have this very specific view of who you are, and you don't play basketball, and you don't listen to punk rock music.
What do they want you to do?
I don't know. I really don't know. Because I was like, I don't have any view of myself. I'm just trying shit out here.
Yeah.
They did not like it, though.
That's why you had no school pride.
Yeah, I didn't have any school pride. I don't think anybody did, though, really.
So, let's do... we have one more lyric each, and then I want to tell a Beach Boys story about Charles Manson, because I think that's fun to get in the real bad boy side.
Ooh.
So, as we've progressively gone through Beach Boys lyrics, they've gone in more bad boy-y, right? Mm-hmm. So this one, pure, unadulterated, bad boys from California Girls from 1965's Summer Days and Summer Nights with 3 exclamation marks. The lyric is, well, East Coast girls are hip. I really dig those styles they wear. And the Southern girls with the way they talk, they knock me out when I'm down there. The Midwest farmers' daughters really make you feel all right. And the Northern girls, with the way they kiss, they keep their boyfriends warm at night. And then the song goes on, and it's basically like all those girls are paltry in comparison to California girls, who are the pinnacle of the girl pyramid, according to the Beach Boys.
It's Katy Perrying in them right now.
I don't get it.
Katy Perry has a song,
Explain
California
me.
Girls.
Okay.
It's just California Girl. They'll make
And of course, like,
melt.
I think like back in the USSR kind of like makes fun of this sort of thing, where it's like, you know, you can girls really knock me out. So what's very funny to me is like, we're saying the Beach Boys don't get around. Then they release their song, I Get Around. So now we know they get around. And then they release California Girls, which is a song that basically shots fired at every single woman from all over the USA other than California women. Basically, it's like, it's also the song that's like comes from experience, as if they've sampled.
Yeah, they're like in a grocery store. Like, I'll try a little Southern girl. I'll try a little Northern girl. Try a little farmer's daughter. Ooh.
It seems pretty like clinical. It's like, well, Eastern girls, well, they're hip. I really like the styles, but Midwestern farmers' daughters, they make you feel all right. Yeah.
I feel like as he's having sex, he's like thrusting. He's like, yeah, this is like a California girl, but not quite like a California girl. You're a farmer's daughter, you said? Okay, I get it.
Yeah, it feels like that. It's like as if this band went from ultra lame to suddenly having sex with people from across the USA.
Yeah.
49 states. All nothing in comparison to California. And I will say,
Alaska.
so we sometimes go to genius.com to check out our lyrics, right? Mm-hmm. And people annotate them, right? Like sometimes you'll click on a lyric and someone's like, this lyric means whatever. Whoever annotated these lyrics is a very horny man. Because basically, it's very obvious what the song is saying. It doesn't need an annotation. And yet what they did is every single place and girl, they put a photo of like a very scantily clad model in the most stereotypical like outfit of that place. So it was like East Coast girls and then it was like Southern girls, the way they talk. And then the annotation was like a scantily clad like cow lady. And it was like, by the way, there was this study that said that 17% of Americans prefer the Southern accent. They find it the sexiest accent in the world. And it's like, dude, we don't need that information to enjoy this lyric.
Yeah, that's going way beyond analysis.
That's going way beyond analysis to
also,
foreplay for this man's masturbation session.
That's not a good statistic. 17%, that's very low.
It was the highest percent according to all the accents.
How many accents are there?
I don't know, man. Just ask this person on
he knows
genius.com who just like listens to California girls and just is like WAP.
So you want to get into the Charles Manson story? I know. I have this lyric from Pet Sounds. You want to do my lyric first? Or you want to?
Yeah, do your lyric first.
Okay.
And we'll end with Charles. We'll just tell the Charles Manson story because people back home are like, "How are these root beer Chug-A-Luggers hanging out with Charles Manson?" I don't get it.
Here, well, okay. So Pet Sounds, the song
Yes.
Sloop John B.
Sloop John B. Classic song.
Yes. The poor cook, he caught the fits and threw away all my grits. And then he took and he ate up all my corn. Let me go home. Why won't they let me go home?
Sorry. I have never... This is such a famous song that I've heard so many times. But to break it down as if you were in the ship with these masochists who eat your food, lock you in your door, and won't let you leave. It's so funny to me.
He ate up all my corn. He's like,
he threw away my grits.
Not the corn, anything but the corn. Please, just let me go home to get some corn.
Imagine it just like breaking down. It's like, it's been a hard day. The chef threw away my grits. And I'm like going back and I just like sitting down and I go to the fridge in the commissary of this boat and I open it and my corn Tupperware is there and it's labeled Lucian's corn. And I open it and there is one
It's just
thing of corn. Just one
loose corn kernels.
Loose corn kernel. And I just throw it to the ground. And I look, and the captain or whoever's just laughing at me. And I'm just breaking down. I'm like, please. I'm seasick. I'm weak. I have not been fed.
I need my corn.
In days.
The doctor said I need to have my corn.
Who ate my corn? Give me the lyric again.
Okay.
Just give it to me. Give it to me in like a way that you're like in the midst of like a really
like I'm so emotional over this.
Like you're in therapy for this and you're breaking down.
Lucian, the poor cook, he caught the fits and he threw away all my grits and he took and ate up all my corn. Let me go home. Why don't they let me go home? That's the
What
lyric.
do you think the cook's getting the fits means?
Like he
got the bends and he went crazy and then he just started doing insane things to food.
Yeah, or he just like went nuts. He went berserk and he just threw out grits. He's like, that's his way of going crazy, is throwing out the grits.
The like lost verse of the song is the cook went crazy. I saw him pouring syrup all over his chest and rubbing it all over. Why won't they let me go home?
Yeah. He took my corn and he started rubbing it all over his crotch, and then he had some other guy lick it up. Why won't they let me go home?
The chef started calling me Charles, and that was the name of his child who died in the war. Please let me go home. So why don't you think they'll let him go home? Is he in the army or is he just like at a bad summer camp?
Oh, well, the song is about they went sailing in the Bahamas and they like got drunk.
Boo-hoo.
I think they got, this is the ultimate white people problem song. They got drunk and they got like the constable pulled them over and they got thrown in the brig or something. They got
not the brig.
Put in jail, in like Bahamas jail. And that's what they're talking about here, is that like they're being tortured in jail, I think.
Thank you for that. Thank you for knowing that, actually. That's really interesting to me. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I always just like it's a complainy kid.
No, and it's interesting because
it's just like we got too drunk in the Bahamas in a chartered boat.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is the ultimate white people problem. And also, like, of all the things that could have gone wrong when you take your chartered boat to the Bahamas, like, you're upset because the cook ate your corn.
Yeah,
That's
we're
the
in prison.
Problem you have right now.
The worst thing that happened to us in prison is that the cook ate our corn. That's it. We got released.
Anyway,
who
wants to go down?
The women across the 49 states.
Who wants to go down to Chug-A-Lug some root beer?
Listen, we were just chug-a-lugging some root beer. We weren't doing nothing else. We weren't chug-a-lugging no beer. We weren't chug-a-lugging no cocaine. We were just chug-a-lugging some root beer. Listen, officer, you gotta believe me.
They all go to the officer. Listen, officer, he thinks he's drunk. We just gave him root beer. He's not drunk. But I swear to God, give him a blood alcohol test. And he's like, what? Who ate my fucking corn? And they're like, I swear to God, he's not. It's all root beer.
Let me go home. All right, so, damn, this is fun. I like these Beach Boys. What a range. So I just wanted to talk a quick story about the Beach Boys in their career, because at some point there was this overlap with Charles Manson. If you don't know Charles Manson, you probably should. But he's this hip new artist. In
Hollywood.
Yeah, Charles Manson, basically quasi cult figure in the 60s in California, had a lot of lived on a ranch, had a lot of young followers who he listened to the Beatles album, the White Album, and he basically viewed every song as like a message to start a race war, essentially. And that the Beatles were like, you have to start the race war, Charles Manson. So he had his followers, which were called the Family, kill some people, and they killed some people. And basically that was a really big moment in the 60s. Some people are like, that's when the 60s died, when free love went too far, and Charles Manson is just like crazy. So he was a very charismatic person, Charles Manson, which is why he had a lot of followers. So Dennis Wilson, who was the drummer of the Beach Boys, brother of Brian Wilson, picked up some hitchhikers someday, and they were like talking about Charles Manson. And basically at some point in 1968, Charles Manson and a bunch of young women that were his followers lived at Dennis Wilson's house. And they had LSD and they had a lot of sex together. And Dennis Wilson, at some point was like, okay, this is a lot. And he tried to get him out of the house. And at this point, apparently the Manson family living there had done, in current money, over $750,000 in damages just living in the house.
How the fuck? How?
Just like they accrued that much. They were just like that reckless.
They fucked so hard it broke the walls.
Basically, Dennis Wilson moved out of his own house and had the landlords evict them. And also another crazy thing is Dennis Wilson essentially took a Charles Manson song and changed the lyrics, and then it was released as a Beach Boys song called Never Learn Not to Love in 1968. So the Beach Boys basically have a song that was written by Charles Manson. And
also, how rich do you have to be like, you know what? I don't like these guests I have. I'm just going to move.
Yeah. Well, so basically, yeah. And then Charles Manson this whole time was trying to get a record contract, and Dennis Wilson's friend was Terry Melcher, producer at Columbia Records. And Charles Manson was like, listen, I want to impress this guy. And he never impressed him. I think he got like burned by Melcher. And that's when basically Manson was like, you got to murder the people that live at this house. It was Melcher's old house, but he had moved. And that's where Sharon Tate lived, and she was murdered. So anyway, also Dennis Wilson and Charles Manson had a fist fight at some point, and Manson threatened him. So the fact that Dennis Wilson survived this period of his life is nuts. The fact that he like survived living with Charles Manson is nuts. But just look at that. This band of nice little crew cut dorks living with basically like a cult figure who got people to murder for him. So would you expect
dude.
that?
Badass.
Would you rather hang out with the crew cut nerdy Beach Boys of the 1961s, 62, or Charles Manson and his family?
100% Charles Manson. So much more fun. The Beach Boys nerdy crew cuts I want to punch them in the face sometimes.
I feel like I just really want to play Bananagrams with the Beach Boys.
That's a great game.
Yeah, I don't really know much about Bananagrams. I just feel like it's the type of thing that gets the Beach Boys rock hard.
It's like Scrabble.
Okay. All right, so I think we're done. Should I tell people what to do? You got any more jokes in you?
Nope. I'm joked out.
Andrew Stieglitz is joked out. I gotta have some water. So guys, we're done here. The Beach Boys episode, we're done. No more Beach Boys. But hey, listen, great career, great band. Check out Pet Sounds. Listen to all these lyrics. Reminisce about what it was like to be white in the early 60s and having privilege. You can follow us, The Lyric Boys, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, at The Lyric Boys. It would be really cool, and it would help we would flip our lids if you would like and subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, literally wherever. Just like and subscribe. Leave a 5-star review. We would love you forever for that. We'll also post Spotify and Apple Music playlists of the songs talked about today on our social medias. And if you want to email us and just say hello, hi, how's it going, how are you, you could email us at lyricboyspod@gmail.com. That's Gmail as in Georgia mail.
Nobody needed that clarification.
No one needed that, but I thought people needed it. All right, that's us. That's we gotta get out of here and get to Chug-A-Lug and some root beer.
Hell yeah, let's Chug-A-Lug.
Stieglitz, you got any last words of wisdom for our lovely audience?
Why don't they let me go home?
Yeah, I won't let Andrew go home. All right, guys. Have a good one.